search of the unseen, 10 of the most bizarre dinosaurs of the Cretaceous Period. Part 1. If you were to ask anyone about dinosaurs, what would they immediately remember? Probably huge monsters like the Tyrannosaurus, armored tanks like the Triceratops or Stegosaurus, or maybe that very cunning velociraptor from Jurassic Park. These guys are cool, of course. But you know what's most amazing? Dinosaurs ruled the planet for almost 165 million years. That's an unimaginable length of time. During that period, they managed to evolve into forms we can't even begin to guess at. They were so diverse that at times it seems as though they came from some other world. Today, I invite you on a journey through the Cretaceous Period, a time when dinosaurs reached the peak of their development. We'll forget about the well-known giants and go in search of the most peculiar, most unusual non-avian dinosaurs that ever saw the light of day. We'll visit snowy Alaska, the scorching Gobi Desert, and the warm forests of Spain and Argentina. Are you ready? Then let's go. Nothronychus, the dinosaur that looked like a turkey. Imagine the lush forests of what is now New Mexico. A tall, stooped figure leisurely walks on two legs through the ferns and thick undergrowth. Its shadow glides across the ground, cutting through the sun's rays. This curious creature stands about half a meter taller than an adult human, and its long neck sways from side to side, if not for the long, sickle-shaped claws on each of its hands. This creature would look quite comical. It resembles a giant feathered turkey. This amazing dinosaur is the Nothronychus, a representative of the Therizinosauridae family. Therizinosaurs, in general, are perhaps the strangest theropods. They were bipedal, but mostly herbivorous, and their main feature was incredibly long claws. They must have looked so shocking to anyone who encountered them. Nothronychus was first described in 2009 when its fossils were found in the Zuni Basin. Essentially, it was the Mesozoic equivalent of a giant ground sloth. It peacefully roamed the forest, using its huge claws to strip greens from tall branches. It even had leaf-shaped teeth that ground up its food and a toothless beak, which is completely uncharacteristic for theropods. And Nothronychus also had a large belly and a slightly curved spine, making it look something like a goose. The story of its discovery is a detective story in itself. The remains of Nothronychus were found in marine sediments, right next to the remains of sea creatures. What in the world? Scientists puzzled over this for a long time, but most agreed that the dinosaur died on land, and then its body was carried out to sea, possibly by a strong storm. The most surprising thing is that the numerous predators that lived in those waters, for some reason, didn't touch it. That's how it was preserved. It probably drifted on some kind of floating raft of plants, either already dead or having drowned when the raft fell apart. Bajadasaurus, the dinosaur with spikes on its neck. In 2010, in the mountains of northern Patagonia, Argentina, paleontologists stumbled upon something truly incredible. It was a neural spine from the neck of a sauropod, a dinosaur no one had ever heard of. This spine forked, forming a wishbone-like shape, and pointed forward, toward the head. Along with it, parts of the skull and jaw were found. And that's where things got really interesting. Artists quickly took up the reconstruction, and a strange creature came to life. The Bajadasaurus, a sauropod with huge needle-like spikes sticking forward from its neck right above its head. This dinosaur was truly impressive. By modern standards, it would have been huge, but for a sauropod, it was quite modest, about the size of an African elephant. Its spikes were its main distinguishing feature. However, recent studies of its close relative, the Amargasaurus, have made scientists reconsider. A study of the ligaments and fibers showed that the Amargasaurus had a huge sail of skin on its neck, not bare spikes. Perhaps the same was true for the Bajadasaurus. Can you imagine what it would have looked like in real life? a huge sauropod with a crest on its neck patrolling the plains of Patagonia 145 million years ago. Scansoriopteryx, the lemur dinosaur. Imagine a dense forest where the trees are so tall you can barely see anything on the ground. And suddenly, high above, something jumps from branch to branch. This is the Scansoriopteryx, a tiny dinosaur only 30 centimeters long, like a common sparrow. From the ground, it's hard to make out, but if you look closely, you'll see why it made our list. Covered in fluffy feathers, this dinosaur essentially filled the same niche as a modern monkey or lemur. It had a long, gripping tail, large eyes, and grasping hands. But its strangest feature is its fingers. The third finger on each hand was almost twice as long as the others. Why? When it sat on a branch, it would poke this finger into holes in the bark, fishing out juicy grubs. It was like using its finger as a spear or a fishing hook. Found in 2002 in Liaoning Province, China, the Scansoriopteryx is one of the tiniest and strangest non-avian dinosaurs. The canopies of prehistoric trees in Liaoning must have been like a modern rainforest, full of hundreds of species, where our Scansoriopteryx felt right at home, jumping from branch to branch like a tiny tamarin. Gigantoraptor, the giant ostrich. Now, from China to Mongolia to the Gobi Desert, here, among the plains and thickets, colossal feathered figures move, sitting in pairs on huge nests. This is the Gigantoraptor, the largest of the oviraptorosaurs, a relative of the famous oviraptor. Its body length is 8 meters, and it weighs around 2 tons. These giants sat on huge rings of eggs. Once, a male Alioramus, looking for a snack, attacked a female Gigantoraptor. She stood up, hissing menacingly and flapping her feathered arms in a threatening pose. The predator didn't give up, but at some point, the female decided to act. With one powerful kick of her leg, she temporarily blinded the Alioramus, forcing it to retreat. It was a battle he couldn't win. What makes the Gigantoraptor so strange? Its size. Oviraptorosaurs were mostly small, looking like chickens or turkeys. The Gigantoraptor towered over them like a cross between a giant ostrich and a giant chicken. It stood on 2 pillar-like legs and balanced with a long tail. Because of its unusual appearance, artists have always reconstructed it with a lot of imagination, with sharp beaks, crests, fleshy growths, and brightly colored feathers. It must have been an otherworldly experience to see it in real life. Carnotaurus, the horned hunter with tiny arms. At first glance, the Carnotaurus looks like a typical large predator. 2 legs, a big jaw, a long tail, but look closer, it moves on very long legs, has 2 intimidating horns above each eye, and its arms are so tiny you might not even notice them. The Carnotaurus must have been a terrifying sight in the forests of Argentina. Its horns are still a subject of debate. Some believe it used them for intimidation, others for mating rituals or duels with rivals. The latter seems most likely, as studies show that dinosaurs may have exchanged quick, powerful blows with their horns. But its strangest feature isn't its horns, it's its arms, or rather, their lack of function. It only had rudimentary limbs, almost useless, without wrist bones. So what was their purpose? A recent Apple TV documentary, Prehistoric Planet, offered an interesting theory: display. A male could quickly wave his bright blue arms to a potential mate, much like modern birds show off their plumage. Though tiny, their bright color would have created a mesmerizing spectacle. So, we've met 5 incredible dinosaurs that challenge our idea of what they could have been like. From a predator with tiny arms and horns to a feathered sloth and a giant chicken. But that's only half of our list. In the next video, we'll embark on a new journey to find 5 more incredibly strange dinosaurs. We'll learn about a nocturnal, ant-eating dinosaur, a snow tyrannosaur, and a squirrel-like herbivore that lived in icy forests. So don't go anywhere. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the second part, and see you soon.